Hello everyone and welcome to PaxAria Gaming. This is Reg and we have a special sort of double episode today. We're going to continue Ironeye's Remembrance and then we're going to take on the next Night Lord, which is the Fissure in the Fog. But before we get to that point, we need to deal with the Remembrance. And since you're probably wondering, since Dark Drift Night was my last episode, why am I doing that again? Well, in order for us to get to the next element of the Remembrance, we need to complete Dark Drift Night within the memory, within Ironeye's memory, which is what we're doing. This is the, I guess, second component of his Remembrance quest. Each of the characters have a Remembrance quest. And so in terms of replayability, if you replay it and you choose a different character, if you're going to replay it, you probably should, you would do the Remembrance quest for that particular character. But for our purposes, today we are redoing this particular quest in order to get an item that is dropped by the boss. Fulgar, I guess is his name. So there's an item that he drops, but in order to get to that point, you have to go through day 1 and 2 before you get to day 3. So that's what we're doing. We're going to make our way through all of this again with Floq and Forgoth. I think that's who we're playing with. Yes. Should be a pretty good run. You don't have to do anything different. Unlike in the first part of the Remembrance, you had to go to a different part of the map that was marked to actually fight a version of yourself. In this particular case, to complete this part of the Remembrance, you fight the final boss, the Night Lord. And since you can't do that before you get to the end of it, we have to work our way through it all over again. Yeah, we're not going to waste our time on those guys. Took me long enough to learn, but one of the things I have learned is pick your fights. Early in a particular day, you don't want to come up against a very strong field boss. If you have a couple of levels and it's not the gargoyle, or which I think is one of the harder ones, then it makes sense to go for it because you're going to get runes which you can use to level up. Someone's leveling up, so clearly they've already gotten to the next point. So I figured, okay, let's get some runes. Since I haven't done anything. I know they're all shared. Okay, I guess I can catch up with them on this side. The only thing I missed by not going all the way up wherever they were is the potential for a particular loot item that might be helpful. sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not. And you have plenty of opportunity for loot. Plenty. Every boss that you kill, whether it's a field boss, whether it's a day boss, whether it's Everjail, you're going to get loot. And so what I found is that probably 20%, maybe 25%, maybe actually something that you find useful. The rest of it is not. It may be useful to your other teammates, but it's definitely, early on getting additional bows is important for Ironeye, because he starts out with his starting bow, and usually you get more. And if it's a good enough run, you actually will end up with quite a few. And so depending on the boss that you're facing, you may have a bow that has some affinity, particular kind of damage that might be germane to that particular boss. And so you may want to use it for that, or it has a Ash of War that you might want to use, in which case you can use it. If it has some other affinity, but you like your starting bow better, then you can just put it in your left hand. And hopefully it's one of those items that allow you to get the benefit of it, even if it's just being held in your left hand. What is that over there? I'm getting distracted here. It's an Everjail, but I don't have a stone sword key. And someone is dead. That's one of the disadvantages of running off without everybody being there. I mean, they're making good progress, but he died. But they're at the end of this boss, so he'll probably come back. All right, I feel like I've contributed something now. So we can get a level. At level 5. I think I've said it in the last few videos that you want to be anywhere above level 10 by the time you get to day 3. Obviously 15 is the max, that's the best. But anything above level 10 when you're fighting the final boss is doable. Easier at 13, 14 than at 10, but it's doable at 10. And in a previous episode, I ended up getting caught by these swarming locusts. The first time I got caught by it, I didn't realize that it was basically the sentient pest, and if you kill them, you can regain your levels. So I ended up losing all of my levels, going all the way back to 1. I think I ended up dying. I don't remember actually killing him and getting rid of the swarms that way. But in a subsequent run, one of the other players must have realized what was going on, and we chased down the sentient pest and killed it. That's an impressive ultimate. Again, you just, anything that's near that you can kill without taking too much time, you probably should do just to get the runes. You know, little moves like that will help you have a better chance of getting to level 15 within the 2-day period before you get to day 3. So at the end of day 1, you want to be anywhere from 8 up. So if you're at 8, you probably can get to level 15 in day 2. If you're above that, let's say you're at 10, you have a really good shot at getting to level 15. Assume you don't lose a level by dying or something like that. The Evergel bosses are fairly quick. I mean, within 2 minutes, you should be able to complete an Evergel. You know, faster ones you can do within 30 seconds or something like that. Like, this is a short one. This was less than a minute. So you grab your things, you see if you can get a level. Alright, we're level 6. And we move on to the next one. One of our partners here is marking places early, so there's not a lot of wandering around, you know, about where to go next. I don't know whether we want to... Let's see what happens here. Rune bears usually take a while. Oh, well, I don't know. All right, no, we're making real good progress on this one. All right, another one that was less than a minute. Okay, there's no site of grace, so I wonder if... Oh, there it is. All right, I was like, where's the site of grace? Okay, this is one of those ones that has the multiple rune bears. Although I guess the first one must have been the boss rune bear. I don't think these are. I think these are just second tier rune bears. And we have mages nearby that we can basically ignore. I see the night is beginning to close in. So I'm at level 7. I hear someone else hitting a site of grace. Okay. Let's call this Rune Gathering. May as well. here. We hear the audible cue for the start of the day 1 bosses. Only at 7. Hopefully by the end of day 1, when we complete the boss, I'll be at 9 or 10. And we can these little annoying finger creeper things. I don't know. I'm not paying attention to how many runes I get from each one of these these little enemies, but all of them count. So I figured, all right, may as well snipe them. You're not going to get to the day boss until all of them are dead anyway. Okay, the centipede demon is not too bad. Not bad. Yeah, I figured let's go with improved dodging. It gives me a little bit more invincibility. Okay, I'm level 8. 8 would be probably the minimum you'd want on day 1. So we have a little bit of work to do to get to 15 by the end of day 2. The good news is I've already faced this boss, so I know what to expect. And as long as you have sort of lightning in your arsenal, you're going to be pretty good. You're going to be okay. The first time I fought him, it took me quite a few tries. He just moves all over the place. Now I feel a little bit more confident. And this group seems like a pretty good group. So Ironeye is a squishy character, so he can't take too many hits. There are a couple of them like that. But it reminds you that the whole idea of an archer is that you're really supposed to be a supporter. And in some cases you have to get close because you want to put a mark on them to do more damage. One of the things I tend not to do as much in this game, certainly not like in the actual Elden Ring game, is I don't tend to purchase a lot of smithing stones to upgrade my weapons. Okay, we have a red wolf. Shouldn't be too difficult. Famous last words. But yeah, I noticed that a lot of folks will tend to sort of upgrade their weapons. If I happen to have a smithing stone because I picked one up somewhere, then I'll use it when we get to day 3. I don't tend to purchase them. I think I have purchased them, but I don't tend to. As I mentioned, Ironeye is pretty squishy, so not paying attention and allowing myself to get hit by the red wolf is probably not a smart thing. Yeah, sometimes the other players will leave bows that they think I want. Actually, I guess they're just leaving it because they don't need it and they have it, and so if I need it, I can pick it up. If I don't, I won't. I mean, because if lightning is the thing that's going to be the weakness for this boss, picking up another weapon isn't going to be as helpful if he's weak to lightning and that other weapon doesn't have a lightning affinity on it. And I set my relics up so that lightning would be the particular weapon affinity. Sometimes I'll do that and then switch weapons and forget to switch back when I get to the boss fight. You want to remember if you do switch, and sometimes it might be worth switching. You know, not every, the final boss is weak to lightning, but these other bosses may be immune to it. So in a case like that, yeah, you'd switch when you get to the boss fight and you're prepped for that final boss. You want to make sure that you switch back. The thing you can't change once the expedition starts is your relics. They are what they are. Once you set them up, then you got to deal with that for the full run. And I have made the mistake of not changing the relics from one expedition to the other and paid the price for it. So you always want to make sure you start your expedition by finding out what the boss's weakness is and seeing if you have relics that would address that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But it's definitely worth looking into. Yeah, 3-on-1 with these knights is awesome. Makes the fight so much easy. And I think this particular team loadout is probably one of the better matchups. Going with a Duchess and a Guardian and an Archer. I just think this is one of the better ones. Yeah, I mean, these are all like 15-second takedowns, which is really good. Wow. Well, at least now I know which team is always going to be a pretty good team for wrecking at least field bosses and stuff like that. Because at least two of these characters are just hyper aggressive and they just don't let up. My character is probably the most passive one, although I don't really feel like passive since he's constantly shooting arrows and chipping away at the enemy's health and keeping a mark on the enemy, which I think is also helpful to the rest of the team. have Floq leading the way here. It's good progress. I'm at level 12. Yeah, this is just me taking random things since I already have the bows that I need. One of the recommendations is that sticking with Ironeye's starting bow is probably the best idea, as long as you can equip it with whatever affinity that you need. So if you need fire, equip fire. If you need lightning, holy, those kinds of things, you can do that. But you should stick with that one, because the other ones all have sort of shortfalls. Even the golem bows and the big ones, they may do more damage per second, but they're so slow to use. Same thing with the pulley crossbow. They're much more powerful than the starting bow, but you can fire 3 or 4 shots in the time that it takes you to load and fire one of those pulley bolts. I hate these ulcerated tree spirits. I can never tell where they're going to, like who he's targeting, because he's got these really weird movements. So you think, oh, is he coming after me? Is he going after that guy? You just can't tell. No worries, because his health is being eaten away totally. Yeah, let's go with HP restoration. I don't know how well that works. It's on successive hits. I don't know whether that means if I shoot 3 arrows successively that I'll actually gain HP or not. It may have absolutely no bearing on anything Ironeye does, and it may be, sort of made for a melee player. I guess I could equip a sword in my left hand and, do it that way. Hit something 3 times. Even when I have something in my left hand, I'm almost always using the main bow, which is always in my right hand. Okay, we're just killing things here. Hopefully we'll get to level 15. We're at 13. The night is approaching. I guess the question is there anything else that we can take on before the night really fills in? These little camps are usually the easiest to do, but it usually has more than one of these banished knights, so whether we can do this before we run out of time, you'll see. The other thing is, in all these other, his supportive cast, which are fairly tanky. These guys with these axes are a little tanky. I see someone else is very familiar with the map, knows where to find all of these guys. sure I got a mark on him. Chip away at his health. He's down. Okay, nice. Just in time. Ah, I didn't get a level out of that. Okay. Yeah, a lot of these chests, well, like I said, there's plenty of loot that you can have, which is great, but some of the stuff is so useless that you don't really pick it up. Just, you open the chest, you know, if there's a warming stone, I'll take it, but you can only hold 2. It's not like you can have 8 warming stones, which would be nice. Once you get the 2, then, you know, it doesn't make sense to pick those up anymore. Okay, so at level 13, let's hope once we complete this final boss, we have enough for 2 levels. I know we'll have enough for 1, so we should all be at 14. But it'd be nice to get to 15. This boss is the warm-up, or this mini-boss is the warm-up to the Nameless King. Who I guess counts as a field boss. I'm not sure how they're categorizing some of these bosses. I think I mentioned in the previous episode when I fought Dr. Knight the first time, this version of the Nameless King is definitely not the version of the Nameless King we actually fought in the actual Dark Souls game. Definitely not, because that guy was outrageous. This one is much easier to take down, as well as his dragon. The dragon doesn't do nearly the number of attacks that the original one does. So I mean, you can take the dragon down in a minute, maybe slightly less than a minute, maybe 45 seconds or so, if he stays on the ground. When he flies up like that, you really can't do a whole lot of damage. And I guess the arrow loses some of its potency and fall off. Although there is a talisman that sort of helps with that. I don't know whether I have that one equipped yet. Okay, so now we're actually going to fight the Nameless King. So it is, we killed his little pet. And now he's in beast mode. I was thinking maybe probably should have been closer and should have had a mark on him before I did that. Benefit of being able to mark the enemy is that if you time it right, you can dodge right through even their heaviest attack to get the mark on them. It gives you some invulnerability if you time it right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to time those. His little thunderbolts. And I don't remember what he's weak to, but I probably should have looked it up. but we're doing pretty good damage, so not too bad. Longer fight than maybe it should have taken, but that's okay. It's the end of the day, so it doesn't, from a timing standpoint, it doesn't hurt us. We're going to go directly into day 3 from here. All right, what do we get? All right, got some charge speed on my ultimates. There's some relics that will help speed that up as well. Wait, what's going on? We have another boss? Wow, okay, that's different. Maybe because it's a Remembrance instead of just the regular one? It so stunned me, I was like, what the heck? No escape for who? You? Alright, got the mark on him. Oh, shoot. Okay, that looks painful. Oh, and he got he put a mark on me as well. Which means that a lot of his focus should be on me. Which is good, because these other guys can keep beating him while... Although he doesn't look like he's chasing me, though. Okay, so it's done. Little surprise boss here. Which should then mean we should get to level 15 each. We're about to find out. Okay, he's going back to the previous camp. I don't think we left anybody alive, so I'm not sure why he's going back. Maybe to look for loot? We certainly didn't leave the Banished Knights alive. They were all killed. Maybe there are a couple of scrub enemies that we missed. There weren't many, so I'm not sure what he's actually doing. He doesn't need to do that to level up a weapon, because we can do that once we head into the that little spirit realm, so I'm not sure. Anyway. Into the primordial ooze we go. Hey, level 15. Nice. Okay, that's where we want to be. Didn't get there the way I thought we would get there in terms of leveling up at day 1, getting to 10. But I said anywhere between 8 and 10. We got to 8. Day 2, we got all the way to 15. I think that last Fell Omen boss probably helped. I usually buy a bunch of stuff that I don't use once I get into the boss fight, because these bosses are, you know, fairly frenetic and have you running all over the place, and you're just trying to stay alive. But I always buy the prawns and the warming stones if I don't already have them, and almost never use them. The warming stones, I think I use more. Okay, so I do have the talisman for the archer. That's good. So I shouldn't have a lot of fall-off damage in terms of my weapon. See, now this one has rain of arrows, but the other one is lightning based. So I'm not sure which of the two will do more. I know he's weak to lightning, but rain of arrows is not really lightning. I think it's magic. Maybe it counts as physical damage, I'm not sure. But anyway, for the second time, we will be facing Fulgar. The Night Lord from the Darkdrift Night expedition. And again, we're doing it as part of the Remembrance quest for Ironeye. Let's see if this guy is less assy than he was the first time I faced him, because he was a real asshole the first time I faced him. I do love his entrance, though. He just sort of pops out of the sky. I love it. It makes quite the entrance there. All right, so I got the mark on him. I dodged through his little slam attack. And I have the thing that when I dodge, it creates lightning. That's why you see all this lightning every time I dodge. Unfortunately, he's nowhere near me, so it's not hurting him. And I'm not sure how much damage that did either. I guess it's got to be doing some damage. If he's weak to lightning, then it's definitely chipping away. I switch back to the lightning bow to make sure I'm getting some damage on. I'm making sure I keep a mark on him. Yeah, I can see the lightning having an effect on him because he's got the little lightning flashes on his skin. Someone got a crit on him. Got another mark on him. Okay, that's fine. You can chase me. I'll just keep dodging and you just keep getting lightning struck. Okay, that move you really want to jump up when he slams down. There's so much going on, I can't always tell whether he's coming in my direction or someone else's direction. So, but now he's just got me jump reacting every time he makes that move. All right, we got him to less than half health. Where the hell is he? Okay. Standing in my little warming stone, trying to do as much damage as I can from afar. Okay. The mark on him, he is going down. This fight is over. Much easier this time around than the first time I fought him. And Edge of Order is what we needed from the Ironeye Remembrance quest. And actually, Edge of Order will be incredibly helpful for the, not the next boss. The next boss is an ice-based boss, but the final boss, the Night aspect. I'm assuming he can be defeated without this because that Edge of Order thing is part of Ironeye's quest. I don't think it's true for the other characters. So if you're playing as someone who's not Ironeye and you didn't complete his Remembrance, you will not get that. But it definitely makes the final boss much easier because he's weak, very weak to Holy.
You have it.
Okay, I guess I'm not supposed to talk to her. I'm supposed to talk to him.
True. I can feel it. I'm certain. This is the real thing. I'll tell you what you want to know. You and I, all of us, are already dead. But our curse does not allow us to rest. As those who live in death, we could not rest until the Night Lord was defeated. Battle was not suffering, but pleasure. Until you have undergone the same. You have the same eyes. What will you do? My heart. I finally feel it. It beat its last.
I'm surprised to learn the truth of your natures. However, we strive for the same purpose. I need nothing more. The sad thing is, I think in other circumstances he might have joined us here. But in the end, he chose to be a monster. Allow me to tender my thanks again. An invaluable gift. Thank you.
Make sure she didn't have anything new to add. And now we exit the memory. And we move on to the next Night Lord. Or the next expedition. Fissure in the Fog. That's not going to be useful for the next boss, but will be useful for the last boss. So we'll equip it then. We don't need to equip it now. And this just is finishing up Ironeye's, finishing up his, actually it's not quite finishing up his quest. There's still one more part that won't come until the end of the game. Okay, here we are at the Fissure in the Fog expedition. With Onikama and Let Me Saw Her. And as always, we start out by attempting to get a level. Excuse me. And the goal is to get to somewhere between level 10 and 15 for day 3. I guess between 12 and 15 for day 3. Day 1 between 8 and 10. And, you know, my preference is always to stay as much as a team as possible. I've seen other playthroughs where people sort of split off and do different things. And I guess it's good if you're actually communicating with them. Like if you put your own team together and you're actually, you know, communicating with each other. People can actually talk to each other, but it doesn't really work when you don't have a way to communicate. I mean, I guess if you're so confident in your skills that you can sort of kill a field boss by yourself, then it works. Taking on the Everjails early is always a good idea. You tend to get pretty decent loot and pretty decent runes depending on who you're fighting. I'm not sure what the Beastly Brigade, what it actually gets you. But this early in the game, I don't think it really matters. This early in day 1. We're going to go with stamina recovery. We know this boss is weak to fire. He's an ice-based boss. So if you find anything that is frost resistant, you should definitely put it on. If you have relics that you have that are frost resistant, definitely a good idea to start with that. And I do. I put one on. I didn't show it, but I always go back through after a playthrough, and change the relics relative to the next boss. I actually had a couple of relics, but I don't know whether they're stackable. But I have one equipped that gives me some frost resistance. And if you find in one of these camps or one of the Everjails, if you have sort of resistances type things that you find, you should definitely take those. This boss does a lot of frost damage. I just actually scoped out the name. Let her solo us. Pretty funny. I don't know that this boss is difficult from a fighting standpoint. It's just that the AoE that it uses, the final boss, day 3 boss, the AoE that it uses is pretty potent. And if you're not prepared for it, you could get one shot pretty easily. Alright, we grab a flask. We're at level 4, halfway to 8. We have a flying dragon, but we're interested in loot, so we're going to go up top. Wow. I did not think those flames could reach up here. Yeah. This one is a bust for Ironeye. There's really nothing here that benefits Ironeye. Right back down. I actually think we should fight the dragon, but we're off to parts unknown. The flying dragons are probably the easiest ones to fight. Maybe they feel that at level 4 is probably not a good idea. But they're not that difficult. Okay, well. The bell-bearing guy is incredibly difficult, so I can understand wanting to run past him. He probably would end up eating up most of the day, and we probably would die a few times. I've had the experience. It's not fun. Well, because we're not really killing a lot of things, we're not really... Okay, this seems like a better option, because we're not really leveling up by just running past all the bosses. So maybe getting more runes will help. Yeah, this might actually end up getting us a couple of levels. See if there's anything worth picking up. I see just in this area the night seems to be getting pretty close. I assume I can just put that in my left hand. Maybe it'll help. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I'll use it for the final boss or not. getting a little risky. We're cutting it pretty close here. And silly me, I didn't level up wherever the last site of grace was. So I'm pretty sure I should be one more level above where I am now. Yeah, I hate playing it this close. Okay, grab another flask. And get the hell out of here. Ancient heroes of Zamor guys aren't that difficult. Unless you get caught in their ice blast. Go. Alright. Finally. Hopefully I don't end up... Yep. There we go. I knew that was going to happen. Get to level 8. I should have been more cautious and not follow those guys. I could have just sort of run. Okay, he's going to revive me. Hopefully I can make it out of this acid rain before I die again. Drink. God. I hate when this happens. 2 of us died. See, that's the risk you run when you play it that close. So what was it worth, trying to kill the ancient hero of Zamor if it costs you a level? I don't necessarily think it is. I guess you can always go back and retrieve your runes. Typically, the group moves on pretty quickly to the next area, so I don't know. We'll see. Freya here. Not a difficult boss, but one that takes longer to fight. Although time is not an issue once the day comes to an end, so I guess we can just take our time. Avoid the laser spiderweb thing that she does. Kill the little spiders. I don't think I'll end up with more than one level from this. So I'm at 7 now. I was at 8. Probably could have gotten to 9 or 10. But now it looks like I'll probably get back to 8 or 9. But first things first, while I'm sitting here worrying about levels, I really should be worrying about getting as much damage in on Freya as I could. Make sure I get a mark in to do a little bit more damage. Your madness totally missed. It's so funny. I'm trying to be supportive by killing off the little annoying baby spiders. I don't think it affects her health pool at all. I think that the thing is, if they sort of web you, it slows you down. I think that's the only thing they do. I don't know whether the little ones can actually kill you. But I will not test that theory here. Whoa. Okay, so that was not wise. I saw it coming and stood there. Yeah, I should have marked it before I did that. But looks like we've achieved our objective here. Let's go with improved dodging. Which for Ironeye I think is very helpful. Or at least the most helpful of the things that we saw there. See, because we usually just take off after the next objective. I never really go back to get more runes. So I'm at 8. And I should be at 9 for the start of day 2. But you know, last episode I went from 8 to 15. So I'm not going to stress too much over it. I can still make level 15, but anything after level 12 before facing the boss is actually pretty good. Where'd these guys go? Okay, let's... Okay. Yeah, these guys are sort of annoying. Because they can cover the distance between you and them pretty quickly. But apparently, my team did all the heavy lifting. Let's get more runes. Hopefully get another level. That did not give us another level. Usually, I mean, if you're a mage, these towers are really good. If you're not a mage, typically what you find is okay. Sometimes not useful at all. Every once in a while, you get at least one thing that's okay. You know, I'll pick the crossbow. It's slow to use. I probably won't use it. I'll probably drop it in lieu of something else later. Alright, where's the site of grace? Where? Actually, I don't need the side of grace. We haven't killed anything since we completed the Everjail. Okay, this is cool. We might actually be able to eke out a level. That's got to be the shortest one. It's like maybe 12 seconds. You can't go too bad with increased HP. Alright, we're at level 9. Yeah, I don't know when we'll get to level 15 for the final boss. It's not looking like it. And I'm still thinking about the level I lost. My most hated enemy. Wow, he just bowled right through my ultimate move. Now I can only hope that we don't lose another level by dying over and over to this guy. Oh my god. I was trying to mark him. Okay, so he was in someone else's quest line because we gained power from him. But the question is, was it worth it? So I'm at level 9. 2 of us died. Yep, lost another level. But we're going back again. I just think this guy is really difficult to beat. At least I can grab my runes. Okay. So if we're successful, I can get the level back. Yeah, I don't know where the other person is. She really should be here because we really need her. Oh, there we go. Alright, good. This is not a 2-on-1 fight. This really needs to be 3-on-1. I mean, this guy has killed like all of us at least twice so far. And we don't even have him at the halfway point. We're spending way too much time on this particular enemy. We're getting some health and HP from him, which is good actually. This is turning into a decent run. I don't know, I don't feel like my ultimates do a lot of damage with this guy. Mage is doing incredible damage. Alright. Okay, got a level back and then gained 2. So level 11, if we can squeeze out one more, at least one more, I'd feel comfortable going into day 3 with that. So hopefully we can get one more, at least one more. None of those are helpful for Ironeye. Mark on this guy, finish him off, and this guy sneaks me from behind. Whoa. Okay. I just took that just for the heck of it. I mean, it doesn't really do me any good. I don't really use FP. Every once in a while, if I have Rain of Arrows equipped, I'll use it. But during a boss fight, I tend not to because they move around too quickly. Yeah, have one of those crossbows. And again, I don't use them because they're fairly slow. They definitely do more damage, but you can do more damage per second on your own versus using something like that. Okay, day 2 is looking like it's nearing an end. We're just killing the little guys to get runes. Alright folks, we don't want to get caught again in the situation where we end up losing a level because we hung out in this area too long. Will say, and I think I've said this before, that the replayability of this is probably pretty significant. Especially if you want to do the Remembrance quest for each of these guys. You know, after the first episode, I decided to stick with Ironeye and focus on his quest. I mean, it doesn't seem like it initially that these guys have their own quests, but they each have a Remembrance quest. So if I play again, it would be as one of the other characters. I don't know that I would record it. I mean, I love Elden Ring, so I guess in between games I can always come back to this and play as another character. I'm not a huge multiplayer guy, so that's still something I'm getting used to. Where the characters sort of disappear, and then you spend 2 minutes of very precious time trying to figure out where they went. And I guess you can always go to wherever they dropped a pin. I mean, that would be helpful. But you figure you want to fight as a team because you can take these enemies down a lot quicker as a team. I mean, if you're a real solid expert at this, then you might not care. You might just say, look, I can take this enemy down by myself. I'm not quite sure I'm understanding the logic of running towards the border of... I mean, granted, I get that you want... Okay, alright, so we're not. I mean, we should have learned our lesson the first time when we did that. So we're at level 11 for the end of day 2. So we could potentially get to 13 for the final boss. Let's see where we end up after we take these guys out. I'm not sure who the boss, the main boss of day 2, not the main boss, but the boss of this area will be after we take out these little guys. I know it will not be the Nameless King, because we fought him in the last episode as the boss leading to the final boss of the area. Oh my god, it's these guys. It's the triplets, jeez. Actually, usually this is probably the best start against these guys I think I've ever seen. As I eat two balls of fire. Okay, one of them's down, and that was pretty quick. It was like a 30-second one of them down. The next one's going down. I don't know who's doing all that damage. And I went down. Yeah. I can't even get a... There we go. I can't even get a mark on the guy. He's busy trying to dodge his other people before they kill me. But this is actually... This is pretty good. I wish we had killed a few more field bosses out there. I think that would have been a little bit more helpful in terms of leveling. Let's go with increasing stamina. For Ironeye, that's very helpful. You can fire more arrows. In this particular case, Ironeye, his ability to fire shots and the frequency with which he fires them is based on stamina. Alright, all will be revealed at level. Level 14. 14 is not bad. But that level we lost would have had us at level 15. But I think we're going to be good for this boss. I have some frost resist. Hopefully everybody does. And if you can avoid the AoEs, you usually will come out of this pretty well. There are a couple of tricky parts where the boss sort of disappears. It's like those ice dragons in the mountaintops of the original game. You don't always see them, and they blast you with frost from different places. I think some of the other bosses were more difficult for me because I didn't have the resistance from whatever it was that they were wielding at the time. By the way, having frost resist doesn't mean you can't die. You know, you can certainly get overwhelmed by the frost, but if you don't have it, you will die a lot faster. You'll notice it, you'll see the frost build up bar, and it does affect your health. So the idea is try to get a mark on this guy. Whoa. Okay, tried to get some early damage on him. He's so enormous, so locking on is even difficult. Right, lock on his tail. I'm going to force him into his phase 2. Pretty. This is not it, but this is one of those moves I was talking about where he sort of flies up. He's got a couple of moves that he does when he does this. One is he throws sort of rock boulders at you. That's later. The other one is that he creates a ice ceiling, which I'm trying to see if that's what he's doing. Yeah, that's what he did. Okay, and then he drops it on you. So if you just run away from that, the other option, of course, is you can run to him. There's a little circle around him. If you can get to him, then the ice thing drops around you. But that's risky. It may take longer for you to get to him than you can anticipate from that. But the problem with running away from it is, you know, you run far enough away, then it takes you like a half an hour to get back to him. Looks like we have about 25% of his health down. Whoa, I knew he was going to do that. All these dragons with these little, tail slashes. The other thing is don't step on the ice crystals that you see on the ground. That will also do frost damage. Okay, I was trying to get a mark on him. And paid the price for that, so. Okay, this one you should run towards where all of the air is being pulled to. And hide behind, yeah, there we go. If you stand behind those pillars when he sort of throws that gust of frost at you, you should be okay. Put a mark on him again. Stay close, try to do a little bit of damage. Stay away from the front of him, because that's where a lot of the frost damage comes from. Someone's got a crit on him. Hopefully they can get it. I don't think they did. But that's okay. We're still doing really good damage. He's less than 50%. See, if you don't have frost resist when he does that, you definitely will be impacted by it. But if you just keep an eye on your frost meter, you should and not let it fill all the way up, you should be good. If it fills all the way up, you'll begin to see your health bar drop down. But as long as it's not filled, you can sort of absorb some of the frost. Okay, this may be his rock throwing. Yeah, I think this is his rock throwing mode here. So you just keep dodging. Trying to use my ultimate. Takes a lot to stagger this guy, apparently. I don't know what he's doing now. Okay. It's like, what the hell is he doing? I don't know this move. Okay, but I just keep firing away. So I'm glad that tail thing missed me. Yeah, you just keep firing. Okay, someone's got a crit. And they got it. Very good. He's down to what looks like maybe 15% health left. Watch the tail. crit. No, that's not a crit. That must have been a parry of some type. Got him down to, looks like, less than 10%. Whoa. Just keep chipping away. He's frostbitten me, but that's okay. I got a lot of health. And he is down. So Fissure in the Fog is done. Probably, if I had to go out on a limb, I would say this is the easiest boss of Nightreign. Okay. We have another Shifting Earth coming up. That'll be for the next episode, as we're going to wrap up here. And we will also, when we return, we'll also finish Ironeye's quest. Because the last part of his quest involves the final boss of the game. So we're going to stop here. In this episode, we're able to go back and do one of the quest lines for the Remembrance for Ironeye and take out a boss that we've taken out before. That is the boss from the Darkdrift Night expedition. And then we came forward and completed the Fissure in the Fog expedition. So we ended up with 2 bosses down. So thank you guys for joining me. And I will see you in the next and final episode of Elden Ring Nightreign when we return. Take care.